Today is Census Day across America. It's not the deadline, but rather the date the Bureau wants you to put in when you're filling out your 2020 form.
KXAN'S Maggie Glynn outlines how the Census Bureau is still shooting to finish on time this year, even though the coronavirus outbreak suspended field operations.
So far, the national response rate is 36.2, and that will be updated later on today. The rate for the state of Texas is 31.3.
State leaders are trying to increase those response rates for the 2020 census here in Texas. That's because the count determines what federal funds funnel into the Lone Star State for things like healthcare, education, and housing, as well as determining the size of our congressional delegation. The Census Bureau's interactive map shows how many Texans have filled out the form so far. The lighter colored areas show a higher response rate. The darker the color, the fewer people there are answering the survey. Many of those are rural areas. The Dallas Regional Director for the Census Bureau says those numbers are expected to go up once agents are able to physically work in the field again.
In parts of Texas, the Postal Service does not deliver to a physical address, and those are the areas where our field staff were in the process of hand delivering those questionnaires. So those households have not had an opportunity to self-respond yet.
She says there's no exact timeline for when the field agents will be able to go out again.
It was originally May, but we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet.
But she still expects to have everyone counted by the deadline at the end of this year. Maggie Glynn, KXAN News.
There are 3 ways to complete the census. You can go online, call the Census Bureau, or submit your form by mail. If you haven't received your questionnaire, you'll have to complete it online or call the Bureau.
And looking in depth at that response rate that Maggie mentioned, the Graduate Center of the City University of New York looked at week 1 of this year's effort compared to the same day back in 2010. It was much higher back then, almost 50%.